We are giving away this the Petron Tangent Lite Hi-Fi Sports wireless neckband. So if you want to find out how you can win one of these, then watch this video until the very end. Now that the dust has settled and two phones powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 1000 plus chipset are already out in the market, I'm talking about the OPPO Reno5 Pro 5G and the Realme X7 Pro. It's time to find out which among these two is the better pick. Now both these phones come with pretty much similar hardware and software, but these phones are 6,000 rupees apart in prices. So the OPPO Reno5 Pro 5G costs you about 36,000 rupees and the Realme X7 Pro costs about 30,000 rupees. So when you put these phones against one another, which one do you think will emerge victorious? Let's find out. Hello everyone, my name is Aman Rashid, you're watching Mr. Phone, and this is the direct comparison between the OPPO Reno5 Pro 5G and the Realme X7 Pro. Now before we start, please go ahead and subscribe to the Mr. Phone YouTube channel if you haven't yet, and do hit that bell icon so that you're notified whenever a brand new video drops. With that said, let's get started. Starting off with the displays on these smartphones, both of them feature a 6.55-inch Full HD Plus OLED display. Good quality panels, I must say, undoubtedly. However, the Reno5 Pro offers up to 90Hz refresh rate and 180Hz touch sampling rate, while the Realme X7 Pro offers up to 120Hz screen refresh rate and 240Hz touch sampling rate. Now, I've already talked about the displays on both these phones in detail in their respective reviews. Those videos are already up on the channel, you can go and check them out. But for now, when I compare these two and in terms of display, if I have to choose one, then I will go for the Realme X7 Pro, and I'll tell you why. See, don't get me wrong, both these panels are extremely eye-pleasing. As a matter of fact, the Reno5 Pro's display is definitely the brighter one between the two. Apart from this, both panels support HDR content, colors look punchy, viewing angles are also good, but overall it is the flat panel of the Realme X7 Pro that I think is more practical than the curved panel on the Reno5 Pro. And also, at least for me, in day-to-day operation, the 120Hz refresh rate on the X7 Pro does make a difference over the 90Hz refresh rate found on the Reno5 Pro. So if it comes down to picking a winner between the OPPO and the Realme in terms of display, then it has to be the 120Hz flat panel of the Realme X7 Pro. Now, be it for watching videos, playing games, or simply taking a look at my photos, the Realme X7 Pro takes us round. Right off the bat, in terms of design, it is the OPPO Reno5 Pro 5G, which is without a doubt the better looking phone between the two. But before we dive into the details, let me tell you something. So both these phones offer some of the best buttons that you can find on any smartphones. I mean, the tactile feedback of these buttons is so satisfactory. Anyway, let's move on. Now, while I may not prefer using a curved panel on my daily driver phone, I can't deny the fact that the front of the Reno5 Pro definitely looks gorgeous. For that matter, the rear panel is also curved, and frankly speaking, the in-hand feel is as if you're holding a sleek and sharp object. For sure, the Realme X7 Pro is also a very good looking smartphone and very comfortable to hold in the hand. I mean, it also has a back panel with curved sides, and of course it's a glass back. For that matter, the frame on the Realme is actually made out of polycarbonate, and still it doesn't feel cheap. Instead, it feels pretty solid. That said, you can't deny the more premium in-hand feel on offer when you consider the aluminum frame found on the OPPO Reno5 Pro. And how can I forget to mention that I'm truly a fan of this astral blue shade with the frosted matte finish. This right here is absolutely amazing. Moreover, the Reno5 Pro is also slimmer and lighter than the Realme X7 Pro, so yes, it basically ticks all the right boxes. Now, simply based on design only, do I suggest you pay 6,000 rupees extra and get the Reno 5 Pro 5G over the Realme X7 Pro? No. But is the design and design only better on the OPPO Reno 5 Pro than the Realme X7 Pro? For sure, yes. The OPPO Reno 5 Pro 5G takes this round. Okay, so the software on both these phones, ColorOS on the OPPO Reno 5 Pro and Realme UI on the Realme X7 Pro are essentially pretty much the same, both in terms of function as well as aesthetics. But the good part here is that ColorOS 11.1 on this phone is based on Android 11, while Realme UI on this phone is based on Android 10. That said, here's what I think about them. Okay, one thing that I do like about Realme UI is that the default icons you get are circular in comparison to the square icons you get on the OPPO. And to be honest, if you're not the one who likes to fiddle around with icons on their phone, I feel round icons look better than the square icons. Apart from this, I feel that the software on the Realme is kind of more responsive than the software on the OPPO, and it is totally my opinion, but somewhat the Realme UI kind of feels much lighter than ColorOS. Now, this can also be because of the 120Hz refresh rate panel found on the Realme X7 Pro. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, if I have to make a pick between ColorOS and Realme UI, and just by the way, the software on both phones is very fluid, polished and responsive. So yeah, if I have to choose one, then for now I will go with ColorOS. This is because Realme UI, despite having so many similarities with ColorOS, still lacks a few features. Let's take a couple of examples. So both phones have always on display functionality, but it is only ColorOS that offers an always on display with customizable options. Besides this, ColorOS has a system cloner that lets you have two separate profiles on the Reno 5 Pro. Sadly, you don't have this feature in Realme UI. So for the most part, ColorOS and Realme UI may seem similar, but because of some additional features, it is ColorOS that does seem to have the upper hand over Realme UI. While you can't go wrong with either of the two phones, when it comes down to picking one in terms of software, I will choose ColorOS 11.1. The OPPO Reno 5 Pro 5G takes this round. Okay, so now let's talk about some exciting stuff. We are giving away one of these, the Petron Tangent Beats wireless headphones. So if you want to participate and win one of these, all you need to do is to like this video and share it on your social media profiles. You can share it on your Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, and make sure that your account is open so that we can cross verify whether you have shared this video as a post on your social media. Also, make sure that you're following Mr. Phone on Twitter and Instagram, because that is where we'll be announcing the winner, and we'll also announce the winner in an upcoming video. So there's that as well. This the giveaway thing is new to us, so please bear with us. And one last request is that let us know in the comments of this video that why you should be winning one of these. So go ahead, you have 7 days from the time this video goes live to enter into the contest, and we'll let you know, and we'll pick one lucky winner pretty soon. So all the best to all of you. Cheers. Both the OPPO Reno 5 Pro and the Realme X7 Pro are powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 1000 Plus SoC. They are both offered in a single variant, that is with 8GB of LPDDR4X RAM and 128GB of non-expandable UFS 2.1 storage. In terms of battery capacity, the Realme X7 Pro features a slightly larger 4500 mAh battery under the hood in comparison to the 4350 mAh battery found inside the Reno 5 Pro. The good part is that both phones support 65-watt fast charging and can top up from 0 to 100% in just about 30 minutes. As for the battery life, both phones will be able to last a full day on a single charge without a doubt, and even if you are a heavy user and you feel you might end up draining the battery sooner rather than later, just charge the phone. It literally takes a few minutes. Otherwise, decent battery performance, I would say. Now both these phones are of course 5G ready and they also support most of the essential Wi-Fi bands. Although if I have to point out at a difference between the two phones, then it is that the OPPO Reno5 Pro 5G supports Bluetooth 5.1 while the Realme X7 Pro comes with a Bluetooth 5.0 support. Now for those who don't know, Bluetooth 5.1 not only offers you better connection stability but also provides you real-time data including location and proximity sensing. Now in terms of general performance, both these phones offer much of the same thing. The software feels fast on both phones, they are both able to open apps fast, they both don't overheat. And speaking of which, I have already mentioned in my reviews of both the phones as to how good both of these smartphones are when it comes to gaming. I mean, you can throw any game at the Dimensity 1000 Plus SoC and the processor can handle it without breaking a sweat. Multitasking is once again handled pretty well on both smartphones. For numbers, you will easily be able to keep at least 10 heavy to light apps running in the background in the memory. The 8GB RAM on both these phones makes sure of that. In terms of audio performance, well, the Reno5 Pro comes with a single bottom firing speaker while the Realme X7 Pro features a stereo speaker setup. Okay, so the audio experience on both these phones are definitely loud and clear, but it is the stereo setup on the Realme X7 Pro that is simply better. I mean, it is fuller and it sounds richer. Finally, the haptics and vibrations on both these smartphones are precise, sweet and on point. No complaints. So once again, there are too many similarities between these two devices, but if I have to choose one in terms of hardware, then my pick would be the Realme X7 Pro. I mean, why would I pay 6,000 rupees more for this phone when I can get much of the same hardware and performance on this one? Also, the Realme X7 Pro has the clear advantage in terms of display as well. I mean, there's the 120 Hertz AMOLED panel on this phone. So for this round, the Realme X7 Pro is the winner. Both the OPPO Reno5 Pro and the Realme X7 Pro feature quad rear cameras. In terms of specs, the OPPO sports a 64 megapixel primary camera utilizing the OmniVision 64B image sensor. On the other hand, the Realme X7 Pro also features a 64 megapixel primary camera, although this phone uses the larger Sony IMX686 image sensor. Accompanying lenses on the Reno5 Pro include an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera and a 2 megapixel mono camera. For selfies, you get a 32 megapixel front camera. As for the Realme X7 Pro, there's an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel black and white portrait camera and a 2 megapixel macro camera. At the front, there's a 32 megapixel selfie camera with an f2.5 aperture. Do note that the Realme X7 Pro utilizes a larger image sensor. You can find the Sony IMX686 sensor on the primary camera of the Realme X7 Pro in comparison to the OmniVision 64B image sensor found on the OPPO Reno5 Pro 5G. So what do you guys think? Which phone's camera is the best? Let's find out. The primary camera on both the smartphones is able to capture photos with good details and sharpness. However, there's a stark difference when it comes to the color reproduction. While the photos taken from the Reno5 Pro exhibit a cool color tone, the photos taken from the Realme exhibit a warm color tone. That said, it was the photos taken from the Realme that are closer to the source in terms of color reproduction. As for the wide-angle camera, expect both phones to offer a similar kind of performance. While there's hardly a difference in the photos, in terms of color reproduction, both phones are able to churn out images with decent details upon zooming in. Also note that both the phones do a pretty decent job in dealing with highlights, although it is the Realme X7 Pro that does seem to have an upper hand when dealing with shadows. Talking about night photography, once again both phones were able to capture detailed shots with night mode turned on. The only problem is that with the Reno 5 Pro, sometimes the photos do tend to look over smoothened and colors also appear somewhat washed out. On the other hand, the Realme X7 Pro does seem to do a better job. Now it is the selfies where the Realme X7 Pro really starts to flex over the OPPO Reno5 Pro. I will simply leave you guys with a few samples taken from the selfie camera. Take a look at them and you'll know which phone captures better images. I mean, it's a no-brainer that the photos taken from the Realme are of course better in all aspects, be it details, colors, exposure, HDR, etc. The Reno 5 Pro doesn't even come close. Even when it comes to the videos, it is the Realme X7 Pro that does a much better job overall. While both phones exhibit warm color tone in videos, the Realme X7 Pro is a clear winner when it comes to stabilization. Speaking of which, take a look at a few samples and let me know in the comments what you guys think. Okay, this is the portrait video sample and I've also turned on the ultra steady video on both phones. So I'm walking at a good pace right now and I can see that the stabilization is actually good on, it's fairly good on both phones. The thing is the highlights. OPPO struggles a lot with the highlights and it's pretty evident on the phone's screen. Although Realme does a fairly good job, in terms of color reproduction, and it also, the highlights are being blown on the Realme as well, but they are not, it's not as bad as it looks on the OPPO. And now I'll just turn around and take a quick run so you can see how the stabilization is. So right now I'm running. This is the rear facing 4K 30 FPS sample taken on the X7 Pro that is on my left, and the Reno 5 Pro 5G that is on my right. Let me know which one you guys think does a better job in terms of video recording, in terms of stabilization, in terms of picture quality, in terms of audio quality. Let me know in the comments. So there you have it. In my opinion, it is the Realme X7 Pro which does seem to offer better camera performance than the OPPO Reno 5 Pro 5G. Realme takes this round. So with a 3-point lead, it is the Realme X7 Pro that is the winner of this comparison video, and why shouldn't it be? Not only you get a good display and optimal performance, fast charging, but the camera performance of this phone is also very consistent when you compare it to the Reno 5 Pro. And when you see that the price of this phone is 6,000 rupees cheaper than this one, then automatically the deal just becomes sweet. That said, the OPPO Reno 5 Pro 5G is also a very good phone and a very gorgeous phone, I must admit, but it is the inconsistent camera performance of this phone which makes me feel that the Realme X7 Pro is the better pick between the two for now. But most importantly, what do you think? Which phone would you guys pick? Will it be the Realme X7 Pro or will it be the OPPO Reno 5 Pro 5G? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Mr. Phone. See you in the next one.